relationships have increased in number and visibility, yet they are still not accepted by a lot of people. My guest today will share the heartaches that they have experienced because they have chosen to be with someone of another race. My first guests, Darlene and Terrence, have been dating on and off for 5 years and just got engaged last week. Also joining us is Melissa. Melissa and Darlene have been best friends for over 12 years, and she thinks Darlene should not be involved with black men. Let's welcome them all to the show. Thank you all for being here. Congratulations on your engagement. Melissa, why do you say that this couple should not be together?
Well, I mean, I think that it's a big problem for them, you know, in life, what they go through, the way people look at them, their children, and the problems that we have within the black community as a whole. So when, you know, we lose another black man, he separates himself from our race, we're losing altogether.
Now, what problems do they face, and aren't those problems their problems?
Well, until they have children, and then it becomes their children's problems. And a lot of black men date white women for persona, have a baby, leave, and then she's a white woman stuck trying to raise a black child, and it's a hard task for her to accomplish.
Do you think that is what Terrence is doing?
I don't think I know him well enough to make that statement. I think he loves Darlene, but me and Terrence don't know each other that well. I know of him through Darlene, but we don't have a friendship.
Well, let's ask Terrence. Terrence, are you dating her for her persona?
No, I'm dating her because I love her.
Shouldn't that be enough? Darlene, what do you think about what you just heard from Melissa?
It hurts me because we've been friends for so long. Plus, I have a son that's related to her. And I feel even if I didn't have a black man in my life, that I could raise him.
So you have a biracial child?
I have 2 of them.
You have 2?
Yes.
Do you think bringing them into today's society is potentially dangerous or puts them in a position that they might not feel comfortable?
I think no more than any other child out there, whether it be white, black, or biracial.
All right, fair enough. Now, Terrence, why is it that you date white women?
I'm attracted to them. I mean...
So are you not attracted to Melissa or black women?
No, I just couldn't see myself with a black woman. I mean, it's... Hold it. I want to clear...
Anybody want to respond to that?
I was waiting for that.
Stand up.
I just think that I'm the result of a biracial couple, and I'm just fine. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm well balanced.
Did you have any problems growing up in schools? Did children not identify with you the way you wanted to be identified with?
Yes, but that's what made me stronger. Them, you know, tease kids. Kids are cruel. They tease, but that made me real strong.
So do you consider yourself one thing or the other? Do you consider yourself, what, biracial, or do you consider white or black?
I consider myself both, but I wouldn't be able to walk down in front of white people and them say, oh, you're white. You know, I'd be considered black.
Okay, you want to say?
Now, first of all, the brother just said something totally derogatory. I mean, I thought it was for love. He said he just wanted white women, and that's terribly tacky, terribly. Because if it's a love thing, I can understand that, but you're looking at a race, a color of skin. My question to you is, what makes a black woman less appealing than a white woman? I mean, you just said that you love this woman over here. Now, all right.
To answer your question, I didn't say black women were less appealing. What I said was, I am attracted to white women.
Yeah, doesn't he have, isn't that his prerogative, who he's attracted to?
You know?
Yes? Okay, sir, stand up.
The problem that I have with this brother is that for him to say that he wouldn't date a black woman is saying that he wouldn't date his mother. And if your mother is black and you wouldn't date your mother, that doesn't make any sense to me. So that, to me, is a form of self-hatred. And that's a product of all the things that we go through as black males. And that's just...
Let me ask you, sir, would you ever date a white woman?
I've dated white women before. Right now, I see myself as needing to be with black women because I think it's important for our race in terms of trying to pull the black family, the black community together and build a nation. That's the only way we can do it, is coming together.
And see, that's what I say. It's like, Darlene has two black children, and she is willing to be cultured and raise her children. And you know, there are times where she'll call me up and she'll say, you know, I'm going through this, and can you explain this to me? But it's like, unfortunately, she has these black children, and their black fathers are not there for them to help her raise them. So when her child comes home to her and says, Mommy, you know, I was just called a nigger, she can't say to him, well, I understand how you feel, because that would be patronizing him. She can say, I understand you're in pain, but she's never gone through that. Whatever stigma she brings upon herself is because she's chose to date Terrence. But she's not growing up black in America and going through that whole cycle of what it feels like to be looked at funny.
I understand. I understand what you're saying. Okay. Now, Darlene, can I just ask, how has your father treated you?
He hasn't spoken to me in 8 years.
In 8 years?
He hasn't spoken to me.
Simply because of the men that you date?
Yes. I got pregnant when I was 16, and that was, he's Italian. He just did not approve whatsoever.
Okay.
The problem we have here is that black people alone have, racism amongst themselves. And he wouldn't be thinking this himself, and she wouldn't be saying that, because obviously somebody in her family was telling her, well, stay in your own, stay in your own mix. If you love her, you stay with her. You're going to have problems, but if you love her, you stay with her.
Our family is the most open people in the world.
How do you feel, Darlene, about not being Daddy's little girl anymore?
At first, it devastated me. I was very closer to my father than I was to my mother. He made me believe that things were a bed of roses where I grew up. I mean, I had everything that I wanted handed to me on a silver platter. I learned to deal with it. It took me quite a long time. I recently saw him in Virginia at a wedding, and it brought back some old memories, but if he didn't want to talk to me and be bothered with me, then
But the bottom line is you love Terrence and you're willing to spend the rest of your life with him.
And I love my children. And it's all started with my oldest son. And he wanted me to have an abortion. He wanted me to either have an abortion or give it up for adoption. And I wouldn't do that.
I respect your choice.
Thank you.
I think with all of the hate in the world, that we don't need to add any hate by separating people. If you love her, then stay with her. But make sure you're with her for the right reasons. I agree with my brother here. That you bring to this relationship a pathology. When you don't like who you are, when you don't like your own people, then there's something wrong, and you're bringing that baggage to the relationship. So before you settle with her, make sure your head is clear as to why you're doing it and what you're doing. And if you are free in your mind, then stay with her.
Stand up.
I have two comments, actually. The first one that I'd like to make is that it's really a sad commentary about today's society that we even have to have a forum to discuss this. I mean, that really hurts me. That's all right. The second thing that I would like to say is it's not about black man, it's not about white man, it's about human. Human. Wake up! Wake up! Wake up!
I agree with what you said. Darlene, do you want an opportunity to... What would you say to your father right now if he's watching?
That I think he's missing out on two wonderful children. That I'm not that little girl that was a spoiled rotten witch long ago. And that without him, I'm still around.
Making it.
I'm making it, that's right. And I didn't, without the two babies' fathers, I've done just fine.
Well, you make a very handsome couple.
Thank you.
All right. Some people hide the fact that they're in an interracial relationship. Meet Trina and Ernest. They have been dating for 8 months and are considering marriage. Trina has dated both black and white men, but Ernest has not had a black girlfriend before. Ernest has been afraid to introduce Trina to his family because he knows they will not accept her. In just a few moments, we will speak to Ernest's brother, Mike, who just found out that Trina is black and he is not happy about it. But first, let's welcome them to the show. Ernest, I'll start with you. Why are you afraid to introduce Trina to your family?
Basically because my parents are a bunch of backwood hillbillies, and they really wouldn't accept it. They were raised very bigoted, very racist, and they just would not accept it. You know, I have a lot of black friends, and they think that's fine, but being in a relationship, that's taboo for them.
Really? Now, you knew that going into this relationship. Did you think twice when you started to date Trina?
Well, of course, I think we all think twice in any relationship, but because she is black, I thought about it. And the thing that I was thinking about is I'm the youngest in my family, and I'm the favorite. And my parents always put me on a pedestal for the rest of my brothers and sisters to say, why couldn't you be more like, you know, him? And the fact that if I told them that they might be disappointed or hurt or that they might disown me, you know, it creates a tension there.
Right, okay. Yeah, you're shaking your head.
I have a suggestion right off the bat. It's get off the pedestal. It's lonely up there. Come on down with the rest of us. I mean, I had to climb off of my pedestal, and it was much nicer down here with the rest of the world, trust me. And I've got a good husband to show for it, too.
So stand up. So you're married to a black man. This is your husband? Stand up. What a nice couple. How does your family feel about your husband?
It was rough at first because it was kind of hard for them to practice what they preached, but he's good. No one's going to complain about it now, and it doesn't make any difference because they brought us up well by being our own selves. We can stand on our own 2 feet, and that's what the parents' job is for.
Besides the fact, I just overwhelmed them with my charm. But I do have...
You just overwhelmed me with your charm.
I have some advice for Ernest, though. You say that your parents have always held you up as a shining example to your brothers and sisters. Maybe now is the time to make a real strong statement and be a perfect example.
My question goes to Terrence. Do you love her children as your own? Do you treat them, you know, like they were your own?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Do they know you as the father, or you the father figure in their life? That's great. That is great. All right. Well, Ernest, we have your brother Mike on the phone. Mike, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
So you just found out recently that his girlfriend, serious girlfriend, is black. How do you feel about that?
I am very angry about it. We were not raised like that. We were not brought up like that. I don't condone it, and I don't approve of it.
Yes, but isn't that his personal decision? What does it have to do with you at all?
Well, see, that reflects on the family as a whole. And when someone goes out and decides to do something like that, it has an adverse effect on everyone.
Trina, does it bother you that Ernest has not told his family about you?
I would like them to know. I would rather that he does tell them sooner than later. However, as far as the reaction, I'm really not concerned.
It is none of their concern, really.
That's what I was going to ask you about. How do you feel? Because I would feel it if you love Trina, I would feel it a personal assault on you that he wouldn't present you to his family and, you know, say, I don't care what you say. This is my woman and we're going to be together. I'd just like to know how you felt. You know, did you feel that it was personal or?
It hurts. You know, I would rather that they know and then just get their
Well, they may, after they see this TV show,
Right.
they may
It's
just
not so much that I'm afraid
Right.
to present her,
Mhm.
and it's nothing against her. I'm
You're
sure
protecting
anybody
her, I assume.
Excuse me?
You're protecting her and her feelings from what your family might do.
Right, I don't want her, you know, Christmas time. You know, I know how my parents feel. I would like to have my wife be with the family. And in any relationship, the man wants the father and the mother to approve, and vice versa. And you don't want to have to make the decision between family or wife. And, you know, I'm just trying to work it in the right time so that it will be accepted easily by both.
Right. Now, Mike, are you still there?
Well, you went out and did that.
Mike, why are you threatening to tell the family?
Well, because, like he just said, I mean, it seems to me like if he's dating her and he's going out with her for 8 months, he ought to have enough guts to come out and say, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, look what I'm bringing home.
What do you mean, look what you're bringing home?
Now's your opportunity, Ernest, to say
Now's
that.
my opportunity. Now's my opportunity.
I
So, if Mike, what would you say if Trina and I got married? How would you deal with that?
Well, I'd probably learn to accept it over time, and yeah, I'd probably go to your wedding. I'm probably the only family member that would go, and I'd be good. I wouldn't make a scene because you're my brother. And
Well-
regardless of what you do, and regardless, you know, whether I approve or disapprove, you know, I'm still your brother. I'm still going to stick by you.
That's good to know. Do you have a surprise for your brother?
Yeah, Mike. I just wanted to show you and everybody else that I'm very serious about Trina, and that I love her very much. Trina, you've made me happier than anybody else in my life, and I want to share the rest of my life with you. I'm asking you to marry me.
Mike,
Yeah.
I hate to tell you this, but there was a standing ovation in this stage here.
Yeah, I have something to tell Trina. Trina, don't wash your hands with that ring on. It'll probably turn your hand green.
Oh, hey. But are you genuinely happy for him, Mike?
I don't know. I have really strong feelings that it's still wrong. And yes, I met Trina. She's a very nice person. I don't have anything against her at all. But I just have, you know, as far as interracial marriages go, that's a big problem with me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They might have a hard road ahead of them, but
Oh,
they love
yes,
each
they're
other
gonna have a very
and
hard
they'll make
road.
it. All right, great. Meet Ann and Mark. Ann's father loved Mark until Mark started to date his daughter. Ann's father now refuses to speak to her and did not attend his only daughter's wedding. Needless to say, he would not appear on this program with her. Also joining us are John and Vanessa. John's mother objects to their relationship. After speaking to our producer for over an hour on the phone, she ultimately declined our invitation to defend her views. Let's welcome them both. John, did it surprise you that your mom decided not to come today?
Absolutely.
What is her problem with your relationship?
Well, she thinks Vanessa's black, so she feels that Vanessa's trying to better herself by being with me.
Is that true, Vanessa?
She has her own opinions about whatever, you know, she thinks. I mean, I know who I am.
But has she met you?
Oh, yeah, she's met me. We went there earlier this year in January for the first time I met her, and like previously I had dated him off and on since like August. And from the moment I walked in the door, she like had a total attitude against me. And you know, like the fact is, like even if I was all black, who cares? My mother is white, she's English. My father is Colombian, he just happens to be, you know, black skin, but he's not your, you know, Afro-American, whatever. But I mean, who cares anyway if I was? What's, you know,
what is the difference? That's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, there is no difference. I mean, everybody to me is the same. I'm not prejudiced against anyone. His mother is prejudiced. I mean, because when we went to visit her and she like had a total attitude, and like before that, previously at her own house, he had brought women there, and she had never like had any kind of attitude about them sleeping in the same room or anything like that, you know. And then as soon as I came there, it was like instantly, you know, like, you know, oh, I don't want her in this house. You're not sleeping together. And
Bottom line, John, Vanessa makes you happy and you love her.
Absolutely.
Vanessa,
she makes me very happy.
And you feel the same way about him?
Yes, of course.
So, does it matter really what your mother thinks?
Oh, not to me,
No.
it doesn't.
You're gonna...
Okay, the main problem I have is everyone here is looking at it like it's a question of love and it's a question of what makes people different. Actually, it takes a lot more than just pigmentation, which separates the races. In fact, there have been major studies on it. No one talks about the survival of the black race. In the 1990s, the black male is an endangered species. 1 out of every 3 black men are either in jail, on drugs, or gay. Now, sisters are going to, whine and talk about all this and then date a white dude, or brothers dating white women. This is not going to do anything for the propagation of our race. I have a half-brother and half-sister who are half Korean. However, they are of no use to my race, so I do not pay them any attention.
But that's just the way you feel, and that I don't feel, that's your problem as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, wait. All right, let me give you a chance to respond to what he said.
There's no race that's 100% pure anything. If you look through the history books, no race is pure.
Stand up.
You said that she thinks she's black. Your mother said that she thinks she's black.
She thinks I'm black just because I look black,
You are black.
right?
You said you have black and half Colombian.
No, I have black blood.
Black. You're black.
But if I have
Period.
black
But I'm saying you are still black.
If that makes you happy, fine. I know who I am. Do you know who you are?
All right, I want to get to poor Ann and Mark over there. Now, Ann, your father loved Mark until you started dating him.
Well, he was my brother's friend, and that's how I met Mark. Was they had worked together, and he was invited to our home and had spent time there. And both my father and Mark had gone to the same college, so they talked about that. Everything was going along fine, but until we started dating.
So what happened when you became a couple?
When we became a couple, Mark was no longer allowed in the house at all. He wasn't supposed to be near me. My brother was supposed to not really associate with Mark anymore either.
And what happened to your relationship with your father?
It has declined ever since. That has gone down a little bit sharply.
He had made the conscious choice that he wants to live 30, 40, 50 years ago with those same attitudes, and that's fine for him. I think that most people are awake enough and observant enough that they see there's a lot more than just 1 or 2 races in this society. And understanding others and being a part of a greater multiracial society is something that's going to be very important to me.
Has your father's feelings for your relationship had any effect on your relationship?
It's put a lot of strain when we were first going out. Mark wasn't invited to any family functions or anything like that, weddings, anything like that. So it got to the point where I think you have to stand up for yourself and say, this is who I am, this is my personal choice, he's a wonderful, incredible person, and my father would fall at his feet if he just got the chance to know him. And
he's missing out.
He's missing out is what it comes down to.
Okay, all right. When we come back, we'll be joined by somebody who has a problem with all of this and somebody who lives with it. Don't go away.
In those days, I never really thought about why I ate shredded wheat, but lately I've discovered something that's really made me think. Shredded wheat has no added salt and no added sugar. That's because it's only made with 100% whole wheat. If you ask me how many other cereals could say that, I have to think.
Nestle Shredded Wheat and Bite Size 2.
You won't find a better cereal.
Not colored, not perfumed, just kind. Someone cares if you want to get into Italian designer dresses without giving up Italian food. If you want to be able to pop out for a sandwich without piling on the calories. If your good intentions always go to pot because you just can't resist desserts. If you don't want to compromise on taste when you're counting the calories. Foods. Someone cares.
Hello, Stan here. For a brochure about Stanner stairlifts, phone free on 0800 715413.
When your thoughts turn to stairs, turn to Stanner.
Ah, Mr. and Mrs. Tipty, your Kevin's a lively little boy, isn't he?
Well, we all know where he gets that from.
This takes me back. He certainly has plenty to say for himself.
Well, we all know where he gets that from.
But we are convinced there's good stuff inside him.
More than I can say for your tea bags.
Question is how to get better results.
Try PG Tips, old chap. Glorious taste from porcelain slender that only comes when tips are tender. Here's a contribution.
New PE equipment for the gym?
No, new PG equipment for the parents.
Churchill could save you money on your car insurance. Call one of our people now and see how much you could save. You'll be surprised. Call Churchill free on 0800 200 300 for an instant quote, even instant colour. Right?
That's right. Free on 0800 200 300.
Call Churchill now and see how much you could save. Free on 0800 200 300. Churchill 0800 200 300.
Itchy, flaky scalp. Relieved by T-Gel. Treat your scalp without mistreating your hair.
Matabani. Gail and her husband Mark, a black South African, were so afraid of what her father would think about their relationship that they married in secrecy. Nobody knew about the secret wedding until their book, Love in Black and White, was published 4 years later. Also meet Professor Maurice Henderson. He is a teacher of African American studies and is opposed to all race mixing. Let's welcome them both. Gail, I'd like to start with you. Why is it that you had to marry in secret?
Well, I think a lot of people underestimate how difficult it is to marry interracially. It takes a lot of courage, and it takes very strong individuals. And at the time, I was sort of afraid of my father, and his opinion meant a lot to me because we were very close, and he hadn't approved of any of my white boyfriends, so I knew that he'd have problems with Mark. And once we were married, we had that bond, and I was able to then come forward and have a public wedding, which turned out to be a wonderful thing, and my father actually participated in the service.
That's fantastic. So you now have a good relationship with your dad once again?
Yes, he came around.
That's great. And what do you think about what you've been hearing so far on this show today?
Well, I think it's wonderful that Ernest proposed to Trina, and that we're discussing this, because I think the most important thing is to talk about these issues.
To educate people, to really not judge people by what they look like.
Exactly, and to understand that same-race couples fall in love for the same reason that interracial couples do. It's a very individual thing.
No.
You don't agree, Professor Henderson?
No. First of all, we have to look at it from a subconscious psychological dilemma. And that dilemma is that, first of all, when I look at all this wonderful array of color and race mixing, it makes me think that since when does one who has been oppressed decide to make love and be in love with their oppressor? The Indians aren't trying to go out and marry the whites. Hold on. The Jews aren't rushing to marry the Germans, and the Japanese surely aren't trying to rush to marry the whites. So why are the blacks all of a sudden in love with white people?
So I disagree.
It's not only, Professor, it's not only blacks and whites.
What would you suggest I do?
Let's talk one at a time so we can all be heard.
I am Jew and German. My father was a Jew.
And you have your own problems.
And my mother was a German. I have my own problems. You have your own problems. If you don't like the problems you have, you deal with them according to what you think is right. This is not a problem to me.
It's not a problem because white men have always been after black women. Ever since slavery, you've always wanted our women. always. That's just the nature of the
Why
beast.
can't you put away the past?
No, put away the
learn from
past.
experience
Put
and
away
deal
the
with
past.
today.
No, listen,
you see,
listen,
we're in a different
you
society
keep trying
today.
to tell us to put away the
it's
past.
It's a different world.
Excuse me, Professor, excuse me.
Come on.
My mother is white. I was brought up with my mother. My father is Hispanic, but he happens to be of black skin, so fine, whatever I am. What would you're saying all these people are mixing and that's wrong. Who am I supposed to mix with then?
Wait. Who are you? Are you black? Are you white? Are you Hispanic?
Why does she have to make a decision?
Listen, you can't be one or the other because, first of all,
Well, what am I supposed to do? Not have anybody? Like, what is that
when we deal with melanin, we understand that black and white makes the dominant. The dominant is black. Absolutely. Okay? Only black people can produce someone of a different color. Only we can produce albinos. So regardless of what you say, she is black. She refused to admit it because she doesn't know who she is. Tell me something about black history. What do you know? Who are you?
All that I know is what I learned in school because I was brought up with my mother. My mother
Of course,
white
all
as
you
that.
know.
Hey, look, can you be quiet and let somebody else talk for a minute? Shut up. She's white.
You tell that white man to shut up, okay? You won't tell me to shut up.
Why should she tell me to shut up?
Excuse me. Okay, excuse me, Professor. We have a comment here.
We seem to spend so much time dwelling on the past. Now, true, there has been a great deal of racial oppression, inequality throughout history. Can't we move ahead and try to survive as a people? One broad spectrum of people.
My question is, if we can't move ahead, then how come there's so much disparity between whites and blacks? No, we can't move ahead because the system doesn't allow for us to move ahead. If we could move ahead, we'll be equal by now. We'll be equal.
So are you saying that we can't affect any type of change? We're absolutely helpless unless we keep both races pure and separate.
I'm saying if we want to integrate, let's come from a common ground. Let's make sure that black people are knowledgeable about the history and who they are. Then we can possibly integrate. Right now, we're not knowledgeable about who we are, who our ancestors are. We're not.
I know who I am, and I also know my wife has never oppressed me.
Oh, but her ancestors have.
Her ancestors haven't done anything to me. I'm trying to get on with my life and live my life to the best of my ability. Life's too short to be holding all the hate inside.
White people have gained. White people.
Professor Henderson, say one last thing.
White people have gained from slavery, from oppression. They have gained from all the chattel slavery, from all the systems that were set up from slavery. That's how come they can still oppress us, from all that gaining from slavery. You need to understand that, brother.
Now, I want to introduce our next guest. Kristen is white and Sung Kim is Korean, but the problems they face are similar to other couples. Let's welcome them. Thank you for being here. Sung Kim, how does your family respond to your relationship?
It goes beyond just how do they deal with it. It's a long-standing traditional cultural background. You have to understand that 5,000 years of history of Korean and Asian heritage can't be wiped out. You know, it's an evolutionary thing, and we're still trying to work it out today. You know, it's not one of those things where you can work it out overnight. That's why we're dealing with it step by step, and it hasn't been easy for us. And I just want to tell everybody, Kristen and I don't want to hurt. I mean, we're not trying to hurt anyone. We're not trying to step on anybody's toes. I feel the way I feel for her because I love her, and that's what it is.
Do they know about you, and do they know as far as?
Yeah, but you know, it's like I said. I mean, as far as my parents go, you know, I love them dearly. They're hardworking. They love me. They brought me to what I am today, a Korean American man. I consider myself an American. You know, I don't consider myself just a Korean. You know, I have roots from Korea. Just like anybody that's black has roots from Africa. Just like anybody that's of Spanish descent from Spain. But the thing is I consider myself an American, and I feel, you know, I feel that my rights are being trampled on by the good professor here, who is telling people that, you know, what he's saying is he might as well wear a white hood over his head too. You know, what's the difference?
There's just no room for that.
up here on this stage, we've heard many, excuse me, sister. Okay. We've heard many white people say that their parents aren't going for it. So don't act like white people want us to race mix. They never have wanted us to race mix. Let's not even fool ourselves.
Because somebody doesn't want you to do
Calling for black racial purity is just as bad as calling for white Aryan Nazi race.
No, it's not.
Yes.
No, it's not, because you don't want black race superiority, because if you did, you know that we would take over, rule the world, and make it right. You don't want that to happen.
And
Excuse me.
What are you so afraid of? You see, you cannot discuss anything intellectually. You feel like you must yell and raise your voice
I
to
speak loud.
intimidate.
Listen.
Why do you feel like you have to intimidate me? I'm not afraid of you.
Listen, I speak loud because I'm a strong black man, and I'm not afraid of white people. That's what it is. See, white people are not used to seeing strong black men stand up to them and tell them like it is, but you got one here.
That's how you think it is. That's how you think it is. Okay, all right. He spoke. Sun Kim, I want to ask you, how do people treat you when they see you on the street together?
Well, different people are different ways, you know. As far as I'm concerned, I have a lot of friends in the medical profession. I'm a medical student, and Kristen's going to go on to nursing. You know, our friends are very supportive, but a lot of times I hear, not just from, white people or black people, I hear it from my own people.
It's from Korean people.
And I hear, I can't believe it. He's a traitor, he's this, he's that.
And what isn't our daughter good enough for him? And that hurts me, you know. It hurts me very deeply.
I understand that you want to make an announcement to your family.
Yes.
Sure. I have recently asked Kristen to marry me, and we haven't set a date yet.
Congratulations. Okay. You want to say?
Thanks, Ricki. I appreciate it. There's a few things I wanted to say.
That's what this whole show has been about, explaining to the public how wonderful it is for us to get together and announce to our family members that all of a sudden we're going to marry someone else.
It's a very difficult thing to do.
It shouldn't take a show. No, it shouldn't take a show. It should take you to be able to go and speak to your family members and explain to them why should they allow you to marry other races and other people. Do that. Don't use this show.
Maybe they're so proud of it, they want to announce it in front of
Okay.
Maybe that's why.
Gail, I understand that you have 2 biracial children.
Yes.
Now, you think it's a positive that they're growing up, that they are biracial?
Because they're growing up without prejudice, and they're combining the best of both worlds, African and American.
I think that's great. You've been dying to say something.
Yeah. Ricki, I'd like to say to all the couples here, follow your heart and go with it. If they don't like it, then the hell with them. Plain and simple.
I like to say to all the couples, congratulations and be happy. And to the professor, I don't know how he became a professor. The way he talks is not even intellectual.
Well, he has a right to his opinion. Yes, you want to say?
I just want to say that I am like this young lady here. I am half Hispanic and half white. And I do date both races. And I have my boyfriend here who is Hispanic. And I just want to say to you, Professor, I think that you need to write your book over because we live in the 90s now. And in the 90s, we do not have slavery. We gave up slavery a long time ago, and those were our ancestors. And now we are living in the 90s, and we have to live for today. And it's people like you who's going to change this world, and that's not going to change this world and keep people with nasty attitudes. You need to change your attitude, sir.
Let me say this. I think that as a black man living here in America, I will never forgive white people for what they have done. Wait a minute.
Okay. It is a challenge to overcome the obstacles to make any relationship work. And our guests today are faced with even greater obstacles than the average couple. I hope that you can find the extra love and respect in each other that you don't always get from families and friends. Let's thank everyone for sharing their stories, and let's thank them for sharing their views. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
ER. Good drama, like good health, is always worth a second opinion.
ER captures how busy life in A&E can be.
If the doctors and nurses were that good looking, it would be very difficult to keep our mind on resuscitation.
Tell him that you don't think about me when you're with him.
Our jobs are demanding and rewarding, just like ER.
It's okay. You're safe here.
Pretty cool.
I want a second opinion.
ER. The diagnosis for tonight at 10 looks good on 4.
It's not just a baby skin that needs moisture to keep it soft and supple. Yours does too. Smoothing Johnson's baby oil onto wet skin locks in